Hey, welcome back. Okay, so from here on out, the game's going to get more miserable for Jeff, just because the playbook obviously gave me a wonderful chess opening move, but now I'm going to have to start relying on my ability to know what is the right thing to do given the situation, and I'm not always going to know what the right thing to do is. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get started. The Step 1 is still skipped because there is no war column. Now, what causes a war column to appear? That's what these little instructions over here do. The enemy didn't get any action points because we didn't draw any, and so therefore we sort of got we got lucky. There's no other way to describe it, and so because they didn't do that many actions, there wasn't any war bands appearing. So that's they will appear. Let's just put it that way. So we're skipping all of this part of the game, and we're back here. We're going to operate. Okay. The player must conduct passage of time. If it's in the passage of time, it's not. The operations counter is way up there on the second row. Now, you might be wondering, what's that little war thing is there? That is an enemy instruction. It's called a war instruction. And my understanding is that something happens there only if we draw a card, one of these development cards, that dictate that to us. So, and what it would do is it would probably go in the cup. And it would be one of the first instructions you would see end up in the cup. But that only happens, I believe, it might happen here during the passage of time. But I think a card dictates that. We'll see. One of the things I can tell you is transfer all resource counters from the same space as the operation, because sometimes resource counters can end up on that track, and then you would move them over. But see, it doesn't say to do anything about enemy instructions that are on the track. So there's something special that does that. That's the thing. This rule book was awesome, but like I said, I don't know how these things change. There's a couple I don't knows, and I think the cards drive it. It's just I've never played the game enough to tell you that. So we'll find out. Let's keep playing and then hope that I didn't screw something up. All right, so now we're here. We get to take actions again. So you know what this does. We did that already. The culture is a simple one. Let me explain that one. Culture is we add up all the territories that have a rancheria. And what I mean by territories, I'm talking about these big territories. So all of the purple is one territory, okay? Or region. I think they call it territory in the rule book, but I would call it a region. So Upper Arkansas has one rancheria. So we would get one culture point for that. We would also get another culture point if we control Upper Arkansas. Control means we are the only presence there. So those two tribes would have to be gone, or they would have to be allies at peace with us. And that's not the case. So we wouldn't get a second culture point for that. And then we would get another culture point, of course, for every other region that we have a rancheria in. We only have one rancheria. So if I did that action, we would do all that work just to get one culture point. That's not worth doing at this point, at least in my mind. Obviously, it's the way you get culture points, but it's just not a good way at the moment, okay? So don't like that option at the moment. So let's move on to what other options can we do. Planning. Okay, we didn't talk about planning. Planning is an interesting one. This one, every Bob that has a success marker in his medicine track. So we have 2 success markers there now. So that's why we didn't do planning for our first step, but we could do it now. So he gets each Bob with 1 or more success in his medicine track. He gets a +1 to his medicine, just a +1 for having any number of successes there. Then we select a rancheria with a Bob that has 1 or more successes, and transfer one of those to the Paraibo. Okay, so it would just move down to the paribo. And then if there's another success still left, he gets another +1. And then it goes to the operation track space. And when it's on the operation track space, those go back in the cup. So here in each rancheria with one or more success on the paribo track, because remember we would have moved one down to the paribo, increase the paribo's medicine by 1, and then transfer all of his success to the out of play box. So that would be out of play. And then we can conduct a headman action, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So I want to stop there because what I wanted you to understand for now is if we do the planning step, everything hinges on the number of successes we have here. And we only have 2. Now, when we did the playthrough with the designer, gosh, we had like 5 or something there. It was a ridiculous number after just one time because we rolled like, super perfect and all that jazz. This is where experience would help. We could do it, and I can at least show you how that works. I just don't know if it's efficient. That's what I'm concerned about. I think the more successes you have, the more efficient that action is. And so there's a part of me that's like, you know what, let's do actions one more time and build up more successes, and then we can be even more efficient the next time around. That's what I think I'm going to do. So let's do actions again. And follow the steps, follow the bouncing ball. So we're going to choose a rancheria. It's going to be A. All of our bands have to go to unfinished. So that's simple enough, right? So we go unfinished, unfinished. And then they go on the board. So we would, once again, we only have room for 2 of them. So we do that. Then step 2, we activate the rightmost band. So this one has to activate, and then we, could do those other magical things with the other one. But remember, this one's not going to be able to collect any APs. There's no empty spaces to the left of him. And then we could try to activate this one if we had 2 action points, which we don't. So what I'm going to do, though, is let's activate that guy and see what we can do here. So I'm going to swing around the camera. We get our guy, and I'm going to grab a horse. And then decide whether or not we're going to grab Bob. And I'm not going to grab Bob. We're going to just grab the horse. And start here. Now my question then is, when I do a movement, can I go through an enemy space? I honestly don't know that answer. So let me check. .2.2. I'm pretty sure I can move through it. I just can't stop there. It doesn't even say. It just says move, period. So we can just roll right through if that's what we wanted to do. It's very interesting. So the presence of the enemy, I don't think matters. I mean, it definitely matters if I end my turn on an enemy space, because that could cause a battle to occur and things of that nature. So that's what I'm going to do then. So I'm going to come over here so you can see the map a little bit better. And we have 5 movement points. And here's my dilemma. I can go 1, 2, but see this bison is 3 spaces away. Or I can go 1, 2, and get a bison immediately. So that's, I think, where my head is. So I think that's what I want to do. And then the bison's 3 movement points. So if I go 1, 2, and then 3 more movement points, I collect this bison for a hunt action. And then my turn's over. So I got to hit finish and then I'm just out here on, you know, chilling under the moon. So what I could do later is on another turn, I can activate again, and then I can go kill another bison. So I could actually have 2 of them and then bring them home eventually. It's just the problem is you got to have enough movement points. I mean, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was all my movement points. Boom, I'm done. So it's important to do, but obviously I'm delaying my ability to do other actions. And this might backfire on me. I don't know. So with my other one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a horse with me, and then I'm also taking Bob. And so me, horse with no name, and Bob are going to go 1, 2, like so. So that's 2 movement points, and I'm going to spend a 3rd movement point to raid again. So we're going to go ahead and raid this particular guy. And you know what I probably should have done is just not gone home last time. If this is the way I was going to play, but that's a lesson learned. So, okay, so now we're on Bob here, and well, that's a good question. Flip all bands and activated Rancheria to unfinished. See, there's nothing in here that says that your band that's out in the open gets to flip to unfinished. Ooh, when does that happen? I think I have to spend action points for that. Yeah, that could be really bad. So that guy out there with the bison is sort of stranded. Ooh. Okay, well, that's something I need to bear in mind. All right, so we're going to be rating here. So let's do a success check. So we're going to draw 2, and we're going to roll our die, and his medicine value is 2. So yes, by doing a planning, his medicine value would have been more than 2. In fact, it would have been 4, which would have made this a little bit more effective. That's an interesting thing. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Maybe I should have planned, even though it wasn't as efficient. But yeah, let's roll. I rolled awful again. In fact, this would have failed even if I would have planned. And then we're going to draw 2 counters. Here we go. There's a success. And there you go. Enemy gets 4 APs. So that goes here. The success is going to go there. All right, so we only drew 1 success. So that means we only get to steal 1 thing from the tribe. So we can steal a captive or another horse. I will go ahead and take a captive. And because I had Bob, the success got to go to Bob's space. And then we get to put another ravage counter on, which is part of the goal, right? We want to destroy these things, right? So we got 2 out of the 3 we need to destroy that tribe. So, what's interesting is I may have to do a rule check. When do these cards get refreshed? I need to figure that out. So I may have to do a rule check on that. I know they do get refreshed. It might be after I use them, but there's got to be something that makes them go away eventually. Got to figure that part out. I'm not sure if that's in this sheet. But that's okay. So we're gonna keep going with this raid. And actually we're done with the raid. So we took our captive from stock because we only had 1 success. And we're done with the raid. So now we're going back to the player action here. We're gonna roll die. So if the number is less than the operations counter on the operation track, we move the counter. So we don't have to roll for that. And we go to operation cleanup phase. So all it's saying is that this is moving up to there because there's no number. We don't have to roll yet. I thought there was something we were supposed to do that lets them possibly get a free action. I'm just reviewing one more time. Oh, that's coming next. All right, so we're back to here. So we have to enforce stacking rules. There is, well, hold on. We don't have to enforce stacking rules because we're going home. Remember, this guy's still had 2 movement points. So we did our raid and now we're going home. So we got another, well, I can't do that yet. We're still in one big stack. I'm going to, because I think I get to do this at any time, I'm going to spend the action point to take this UTE Alliance card. And then I'm going to roll the dice and see if I can remove a tribe from play. So I just need anything other than a 1 or a 2. Oh, come on. All right, well, that was a worthless card. So we spent an action point and got nothing from it, and we've been rolling awful the whole game. Okay, so we now have 1 open spot here, and that's why I want to trigger that rule and see what's going on. So, this is a good exercise. So here you can see development cards. Cards revealed from deck which impart a number of game effects, see 1.3.4. So we go to 1.3.4. When the game is set up and during passage of time, development cards will be drawn. There we go. It's during passage of time from the deck and revealed. Face-up cards are considered to be in play. And then there's cards in your hand, which I had and I played, etc. And then, so it's passage of time is when that gets refreshed. Okay, I feel much better about that now. All right, see, look how easy that was to look up in the rules. It was not bad, especially for a GMT game. Okay, so, cleanup phase. So there's no resource counters where the operation chip is, so we don't really do any of this. Here, we have to do die rolls less than the number of finished bands in the Rancheria. Now here's what's interesting. We didn't make it home, so we only have 1 band in the Rancheria that's finished, not 2. So just 1. So the die roll got a little harder. Remember last time he needed a 1 or a 2, now he only needs a 1. Right, so he doesn't get a free instruction this time. And then we're gonna draw and reveal 1 counter from the success cup. So let's see what happens. And I drew a success. All right, and then we skip all this. So we are now oh, here we go. Then, unless 0 any APs, we have to use all the enemy APs. So, the enemy has 4 APs. So, what do? Well, first things first, we're on step 3 of 3.4. So, when you grab the other sheet, you have to figure out which one you're on. We're on step 3 and 4, this one. We're not on step 2. We're not on, a success check during step 3 of cleanup. We're on this one. So these are the steps we're doing. Step 1, if the enemy has at least 1 AP to spend, roll a die, and we're going to compare against the history table. So I'll roll again. I rolled a 6. So again, if we look at the table, that is the south. You can see the 6 there is for the south. All right, so the south is activating. So now we're going to roll again and then flip one of the instructions. So I rolled a 4, and I come over here to the south. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one flips to war. That's actually a bad one. We actually like peace. Peace is good for us. So now we look at the total enemy APs and we execute as many APs as we can from top to bottom and use as many of them as we can. So here, let's look through this real quick. So he has four APs. And you can see his topmost instruction is going to cost 3 APs. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this particular action. This goes back in the cup. And then he's going to have 1 left over. And you can see that his next action doesn't cost just 1 AP. So he can't do the next one. So he's going to have 1 left over. And so then that's going to go there. He has 1 extra AP. So if we were to draw that 4 again and go to an enemy action the next time, there's going to be 5 enemy action points instead of 4. He always spends as many as he can until he can't spend anymore. So now we know he's going to do a settle. And we go to the back where it says settle. And let's see what it says. Oh, sorry. If 1 or more ravage counters is an enemy space belonging to the active enemy, there isn't. This is the south. Place 1 available settlement counter belonging to the active enemy into a roadmap space. Any bison on the space is returned to stock. It must comply with stacking. Place settlement nearest the fewest movement points to active enemy square. Enemy space, if east, choose randomly between the 2 square spaces. Use only enemy connections when tracing route. If greater than 1 space can receive a settlement, choose with the lowest value. If greater than 1 space still apply, use random. If the active enemy does not have an available counter or cannot place, execute a subjugate instruction instead. All right, so this will be carried out. And what does it mean? What does it mean to all the things that we're doing? Well, the south enemy, as you can see, is green. So that means we're grabbing a green settlement. And you can see here that he's located here. And what it's basically saying is you can't follow the dotted line. Dotted line, no good. So we can go from here to there, but he can't. He can only go this way. So he wants to settle here, but there's already a settlement there. That would violate stacking limits. So he can't do that. So he could go here or here, but not there because that's a settlement. So 2 movement points away he can go to. So then it says go to the one that's the lowest numbered. Well, this one's a number 6 and that one's a number 4. So he's going here to the number 4. And then this bison just gets returned. And it goes into like the available resources or maybe out of play. It doesn't matter. The point is it's not on the map anymore. So they now have a settlement in the Rio Grande. That's basically how that works. Now, subjugate would eliminate one of these and replace it with a settlement, things like that. All right, so then his turn's over. So now we move everything up. And then this comes down to the bottom. That's it. So we finish our cleanup phase here, and there's nothing more to do. We're done with the turn. We're back to square one. Again, there's no warband, so we skip step 1. And now we're in the operation selection phase, and we don't do passage of time yet. And we can either take an action, we can culture, we can plan, or passage of time. This time I am going to plan. Actually, I could do actions one more time. That's an interesting choice because I could even raid twice if I wanted. But I can't take Bob with me both times. I need action points so I can get my guy home. That's my issue. But if I do actions one more time, I can destroy that tribe and get it off the map. I think my issue is that unless I plan, Bob's medicine level is just so low. Having a higher medicine level helps me. Oh, as the wheel turns. Okay. One of the things I'm realizing is somewhere along the way, we were supposed to return our resources. So we have that situation. Let's go ahead and plan. If anything, it's just to show you how it works. I would like to get that bison home. Getting another bison home would be very helpful. So let's plan. So plan is a very, very different set of sequence. And I'm trying to figure out how to lay this down so you can see. Here, let's do it this way. So each mahi-mahi with 1 success in a medicine track gets a +1. Now, what's really cool here is that this is for all rancherias. So once we have more than 1 rancheria, we can actually go to town here, but it's just 1. So we're gonna go up +1 there to a 3, okay? And it's just +1. Even though we have 3 successes, it doesn't matter how many successes you get, it's just +1. Then we select a rancheria with an in-play mahi-mahi that has successes on it. Well, there's only 1 to select. Transfer 1 to the Paraibo medicine track, same rancheria. So, boom. 1's gonna go down to Piper Paraibo. She's pretty sexy, by the way. Little weird, but quite good looking. If success remains in Mahi-Mahi's medicine track, medicine +1, and then transfer 1 success to the operation track space. So what we do then is we get another +1, and then this one goes to the operation track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the space that we're going to move to next. So as soon as it goes here, this will go back in the cup. And the other part of the rule is I can't put another success token there, for example. I would have to put it somewhere else. All right, now we're repeating, and we're going to transfer 1 to Piper Paraibo again. So this goes down to Piper, like so. Now step 3. And each rancheria, and everyone, not just the one we selected, in each rancheria with 1 or more success in Piper Paraibo's medicine track, increase the medicine +1 per success. Then everything goes out of play. So the cool thing here is he gets to go up 2, and then these both go out of play, which I'm just putting just down south of where you can see here. Okay. Now, out of play doesn't mean out of game. They do go back eventually. It's during the passage of time. All right, so each in-play Rancheria's Paraibo may either conduct 1 headman action or attempt to do more than 1. If you attempt to do more than 1, this is like a gamble thing. So if a result is less than or equal to the medicine, you get to take a number of headman actions that's equal to the die roll. However, if you roll more, you don't get to take any actions at all. It's really brutal. Now, the beautiful thing is we're up to a 4, so our odds are better. Doesn't mean they're great. So if our medicine is 2 or more, we can subtract 1 medicine to give ourselves 1 action point, up to a total of 9. We can spend action points to buy a face-up development card. Oh, so technically speaking, I wasn't supposed to do what I did. So this card was not purchased and we did not fail. All right, so I'm going to give myself an action point back there. That's not an anytime you want thing. That's only during this step. We can spend an action point to return 1 success from out of play into, so one of these 2 can go back in the cup. If the culture is greater than the military, we can convert a culture into a military point. That's actually hard to do, but it is possible. Now, it is possible for Bob to die, and that's what step 5 is. But we got to do step 4, and this is where it gets really dicey. I am guaranteed 1 action, so I can do 1 of these things, and I could try to buy that development card like we illegally did before, or I can roll a die and try to get more than 1. So let's roll a die. You know me, I like to gamble. And then I just get pissed whenever I fail. Okay, so I need to get a 1, 2, 3, or 4. Less than or equal works. I do not want a 5 or a 6. Oh, come on. Oh, this game has not gone our way yet. Oh, okay, well, we don't get diddly for actions. We don't get to do any of these things. So let's move on. Now we're going to roll a die for each Bob that's in play with a medicine rating of 0. So like when they die, they go to a medicine rating of 0. And what this is like you're finding his replacement. And so you roll a die, you cut the result in half, and that's how much medicine he starts out with. All finished bands strength reduced by 1 and marked as unfinished. And that part hurts. I forgot about that. So we had 1 finished band. So it's actually really good that one guy never returned. But this one gets reduced. So this 2 goes out of play and becomes a 1. Now the good thing about the 1 is look at his movement points actually went up. So he could maybe be the one that goes out and does the hunting and stuff like that. But yes, his strength got reduced. There's a penalty to doing planning. So I got to do 0 actions and took a hit to my guy. Way to go, Jeff. I mean, I guess I moved my medicine up. I mean, that's all I've done. So I'm looking really smart. Let's see. All finished band strength reduced by 1, marked as unfinished. And then 1 strength bands are just removed to stock, along with any resources in their possession. Ugh. A Bob is returned to its rancheria unpossessed. Okay. I don't think, how would they have resources in their possession? That's my question. Because don't all the resources go back? Yeah, they relinquished at the end of the action phase. So that's an interesting one. I don't know how they would have resources in their possession. Oh, no. Right here. All finished bands, strength reduced by 1 and marked as unfinished. That's an interesting thing. Look at that. So that means this guy gets reduced too, out on the range here. So if he was a 1 strength, he would have been killed. That's what it's saying. And then he would have lost all of his resources. But now he's a 1, and he's active again. He's not finished anymore. So that's interesting. The player may move up all in-play Rancheria counters. So I can move the number of spaces equal to the sum total strength of bands in its resource box. So the strength of my bands is 3. See that? 2 plus 1. 3. So I can move my Rancheria 3 spaces, is what it's saying. I have to follow stacking limits, so I can't go through the enemy tribes. But what I can do is move here. And I think I'll do that. That's a lot closer, a lot less movement points to get back and forth. I like that. I like Pizza Steve. Okay. Rancherias move from space to space, may not enter enemy spaces. See? Rancherias that stop in the same space as a band absorbs it. You may not drop off bands. And then there's that question mark counter I was telling you about. We don't have to worry about. The enemy executes 1 free instruction. Then we're going to roll a die. That's the operation counter check. Otherwise, the operation counter is going to advance. Okay, so it's just going to advance in our case. All right, so let's do the free instruction for the enemy. So we're going to roll once. I rolled a 1, and the north is going to activate, which is probably the most problematic for us. I'm going to roll again. I rolled a 3. So we come over here, and their third is going to flip. And here you can see they're going to raid. So I think war and subjugate have no effect, but raid is in the game. So let's find out what raid does. if North already has a war column in the map space, terminate this procedure. If 1+ ravage counters in an enemy space belong to the active enemy, execute a recover instruction instead. Otherwise, it was going to form a war column, okay? That was actually how the war column is going to enter the game. But there are ravage tokens. There's 2 of them, and it belongs to the North. So we have to do a recover instruction, and I don't think that that's described in this game. Let me see, just looking at the sheets here. Is the recover instruction described anywhere? Yes, it is, right here. See, I'm insisting on not looking at the rule book. Remove 1 ravage counter from any space containing an active enemy's piece. If greater than 1 counters, use random selection to choose which one has. Okay. All right. So basically, they healed one of their counters. So it goes back, and like we said, they would do a passage of time check, but there is no check yet, so it's just moving up to 3. And then we have the situation where the success counter is in the space with them. All right, so bands in a rancheria may relinquish possessions, transfer all resource counters from the same space as operation to any rancheria resource, return all success counters from safe space as operation to the draw cup. So we were able to take this success counter and put it back in a draw cup. Okay, moving on. One thing that's going through my mind is, even though that guy is no longer finished, that one right there, I don't know how to move him. So when I activate a rancheria, how do I move a guy that's not there? And I think sorry, I'm just reading rules. Yeah, I need action points. So that's my issue. And I didn't get any action points. So that guy out there with the bison is stuck. That hurts a little bit. But I think I can still use it to my advantage. I really do. But if I do another planning step before... So that's the thing. If I do another planning step, he's a strength 1 dude. He's going to die. And then I'm going to lose the bison that he has and the horse. So he's stuck in a way. But I think during the passage of time, I could take advantage of where he's at. He's actually not in the same region. Here, I'll show you. He's in the Llano Estacado region and not in Upper Arkansas, which is good because we need to build another rancherio. I don't like the fact that that rancherio is 1 space away from the enemy space, which means that the enemy could really tear us up. But there is a chance we can get something going there, which is part of our victory condition anyways. The developer was recommending that we go to Lower Arkansas over here because, as you can see, the east enemy doesn't even exist. So we're pretty safe if we go there. The only enemy we have to deal with is the north. So it's not an ideal thing, but I think we can still try to salvage it a little. But anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's move on to, where are we? Here. Roll a die for every rancheria with finished bands. I don't have any. So we skip this because we did the planning thing. So then we're going to draw and reveal a counter. And I drew enemy action points. So it goes into the box and then they're going to execute their action points. So here we go. So we're going to roll the die. I rolled a 4 and a 3, 4, and 5 is the west enemy. So now we have I rolled another 4. So I go to the west, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this flips over. And he has 2 action points, but remember he has 1 more over here, and his top action is 3. So he's going to spend everything he's got. I'm going to put that 2 back in the bucket. I'm going to spend his 1 action point, and then we're going to do this culture thing. I can already tell you everything else is shifting up, and then this will go down. But the culture step is an awful one for us, because what he does is player loses 1 culture point, and then we lose an additional 1 for each settlement belonging to the active enemy. Well, good news is he only has 1 settlement. The south has 2. So we lose a culture point, so we just dropped to 2. And then that goes to the bottom of the track, like so. Okay. And then we skip. We're done with the round. So now we go to the beginning again. There is no war column, although we came close. It's because of the Ravage tokens that we didn't, he did a recovery instead. The one thing that's now changing is, bear in mind, we're on the 3 there. So there is a teeny tiny chance that we're going to trigger passage of time. Okay? Well, actually it's 50% chance. So we're now getting to the point where this era or whatever before the passage of time is going to end. And then we'll do a passage of time step. And then that little yellow marker way at the top that says passage of time, that will move down by 1. And when it gets to the 3, that could possibly trigger the end of the game for us. Because remember, we're just doing the first scenario here. Or otherwise, it triggers the end of the history phase, and then we go to history phase 2. So there's still a lot of game left if you think about it. But at the same time, there's not a lot of game. Because there might be 100 things we want to do, and we just won't have enough time to do it. So I do love the variable length to the game. I know it's not something unique to this designer. A lot of designers do it. It's just a classic mechanic that I really love because you can't math out your game. And you don't know exactly how long you have. You just know that there's some probability that's going to start ending. So it's brilliant. I know it's not unique, but still, it's an oldie but a goodie. Okay, so now let's keep going. We skip the war column phase, which, trust me, there's a lot going on here, but we skip it. And here, if no band's in play, or if operation counter is in the must-do passage of time space, the player must conduct passage of time. Well, I have bands, so that's not an issue. Otherwise, player selects take action. I think the check is down. Where's the check? Oh, you know what? It might be in the middle of the action step. Yeah, it is. The check is, sorry. Step 5 there is where you roll the die to see whether or not it moves to must do passage of time. So you're going to know if the next turn is passage of time or not. And so we know for sure this turn's not going to be a passage of time. So, okay. So it's our turn. If we did the culture, we're still going to get 1 point. I still don't think that's worth doing at this point. I want to do take actions, or otherwise I'm going to lose my guy if I do planning. Planning is a stupid thing to do right now. So we're going to do take actions, and let's rock and roll. So first step of take action, I'm going to start showing you less and less the actual steps and just read it to you while you're looking at what we're doing. So we're going to choose the Comancheria to activate it. It's A. And then we're going to flip all bands to unfinished. There, it's already done. And then place bands from resource box into empty spaces. So we have 2 bands. And, you know, I think I'm going to do this one and then this one. And look at this, folks. I'm going to get some action points. I'm going to get some action points. And please don't confuse that with I'm going to get some action. This is supposed to be a monetized video at some point. Okay, so I think that's what I want to do. Yes, it is what I want to do. All right, so now we go to step 2. I'm going to activate the rightmost one, which is this one. And then, like I told you before, I have 2 empty spaces now. So I'm gonna mark him as finished, which is what you have to do. And we're gonna get 2 action points for that. So now I'm up to 3. And that's very important. I am getting ahead of myself because I'm supposed to activate this guy and do all of his steps first. So we're gonna take him and a horse with no name and Bob. And let's go off and we're gonna raid, baby. Now, here's what's interesting. We moved our Rancheria, so we have 5 movement points. Well, now we move here. That only cost us 1 movement point. So now we're gonna spend 1 more, which moves us down to 3 movement points. We're gonna raid. So let's roll and see if Bob helps us. Oh my gosh. Oh, he does not help us. In case you're forgetting, I'm supposed to roll less than or equal to 4 in order for Bob to give us extra success draws. I rolled a 5, which means he doesn't give us crap. And if I would have rolled a 2 or less, I would have gotten 2 success draws. So Bob sucks. Let's get rid of Bob. Okay. Coming back. We only get to draw 2 success counters because we only have a strength 2 unit. So here we go, 1, 2, that's bad, and that's a success. So 3 enemy action points, and then we have a success. It's gonna go under Bob. And for that 1 success, I can take a captive or a horse. And I'm still unsure, like, which is better. I mean, they seem like they're the same thing to me in terms of, you know, what you can trade them for. But the captive is a population point, whereas the horse is not. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take another captive. And put it there. And yes, it's going to be a ravaged place, like so. All right, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, done. I'm gonna check the rule book for something. I think I can do what I'm planning to do next. So I still have 3 movement points. So I'm just gonna raid it again. Okay, so we're just gonna raid the same place over and over again. So one more time, let's raid. Let's roll the Bob check. I rolled a 4, so I do get to draw 1 extra success. I think the designer explained that it seems like it's bad, but if you keep drawing enemy action points, you're actually hurting yourself. So I can see how this is balanced. All right, so now we're drawing 3. 1, 2, 3, and you can see right there, I just drew more action points for the enemy. Oh my gosh, Ermagerd, look at that. 4, 8, 10 action points. That was, oh, I mean, that's like finding out that the hotel manager was videotaping you in the hotel room the whole time you stayed there. That was bad. All right, I still have 2 magic points, movement points. I'm gonna raid them again. I figure by now I must have pulled out all of their stuff. So let's see if we draw extra success tokens. Oh my gosh! Oh, so angry. Flip the table. Oh, okay, I can't flip this one. All right, we're drawing 2. 1, 2. Oh no. Okay, I got 1 success. So he's got even more action points. And we got another success. And I'm gonna go ahead and take, screw it, I'll take a horse because a horse is a horse, of course. You never can tell. A horse is a horse, of course. You never can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse's name is Mr. Ed. Okay. That was brutal. I am moving back with my last movement point, so the resources are back home. So he is finished, and we did get some resources, but man, oh man, that was a very costly thing. Now here's the new thing that we triggered, right? So we collected the APs, but then in step 4, okay, let me show you real. So we collected the APs. I sort of did that ahead of time, right? We were on step 2. That's what we just finished. Step 3 is collect the action points, which I've already done. Now we can activate any band not in the reservation. Okay, so it has to be equal to the band strength. Well, the band strength is only 1. So we're going to spend 1 AP, and we get to activate this guy here who has 6 movement points. So here's what's brilliant about it is, okay, so I'm at 6 movement points. This is 5 movement points. And then I can spend 1, 2, 3 and hunt again. And now I'm at 2 movement points. And then I can spend 1, 2 and get home. Now, one thing I also forgot to do is that one turn where I drew no success tokens, it was all enemy action points, a Ravage token did not appear. But I rated them 3 times, and 2 of the 3 times I did succeed, so I do have 3 tokens. And it says under Apache War, after completing a player action, if there's 3 or more, remove that tribe from play, and the Ravage tokens go away. So that's what we're gonna do. Ravage tokens are gone, and I successfully got rid of one of the tribes here in Arkansas number 4. So that's part of our objective. Okay, so we were able to make it home. Sorry, I was supposed to do that with the last, band's turn, but it's just, my mind is going through 100 things, and I am getting it all right. It's just a little out of order. And here we go. So we have our band with the horses and now 2 bison. He's also home, and all 3 of them are now finished, which means that the enemy might get a free action to boot. We're gonna find out. Okay, so now we're finishing our action phase, but we have to do one more thing. We are now on the track with a number, so there's a 3. And if we roll a 3, 2, or a 1, so then we're gonna be triggering the end of the passage of time. So we rolled a 4, so it did not trigger. So this goes to 4, and we do get another turn after this. Okay, that's good. Now, one of the things that's going through my mind is I definitely want to trade, because trading is why I picked this card, right? Is we wanted an advantage in when we trade, and I haven't done that yet. So let's make sure that that does get accomplished. And just checking real quick. Yeah, I definitely want to trade. Now, one thing I do want to make sure I understand. A band may spend any counters in its possession. For each counter spent, it must also spend a movement point. And anything that's not a captive, you must also spend an action point. Oh my gosh. But that's only if it's not a piece space. Okay. All right, I don't know. So like there's a blue spot there that you can trade until the Santa Fe card is revealed. Is that a piece space or is that an enemy space? That is a good question. I don't know that, but I don't have to worry about it yet. But for next turn, that might be an issue. Okay, so coming back to all of this, yes, we are now doing Operation Cleanup. So the bands relinquish their possessions, and then we're gonna roll a die. Let's do that right now. Yes, I like doing things out of order. So I rolled a 5. So they're not gonna get a free action. Not that they needed it, but then we're going to do this, and then they'll take their turn. So let's relinquish our possessions first. So here's our bands. There's Bob. And then you can see we got ourselves some nice horsies and some nice bisons and then more captives. So now, remember I was telling you I wasn't sure which is better, captives or horses? My answer now is captives are better, and you'll see why in a second. But that's only if you're trading with your enemy. If you're trading with somebody who's at peace with you, then that's a different story. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, that's right. It is now, we're seeing if they're going to get even more action points. So I'm drawing from the cup. Nothing happens. And now they get to spend a monster amount of points. So let's figure out, let's hope it's not the North Tribe. Actually, maybe the Orc Tribe's not bad. There's actually a few of these that are helpful to us. So I rolled a 6, and that is going to be the South, as you can see here. Okay, and then we're going to roll again, and I'll take that as a 1. It was sort of on the side, but the 1 just means this flips over from subjugate to war. I don't think it makes a lick of a difference. And then now, yes, they're going to go. So they're going to spend 3 action points. Okay, I'm just going to put it down here to do war. The problem is per the card, war and subjugate does nothing. So we're going to move on. And just so you know, there's no ravage tokens or anything. So some of these instructions tell you that if they're ravaged, they'll do a recovery first before they would do the actual action. This is not the case with South. South is ravage free. Okay, so next we have settle, which is 3. So what I'm going to do is spend 4 and then move their available actions up by 1. So there we go. So now they're going to settle. And we did this one already. So we're going to grab one of these settlements. And we already know what this is going to do. They went here last time, so they'll go here this time. And then the bison goes out of the game. All right. And they got more. So now we got war, which is 6. So we're going to take 4 plus 2. That at least ate up a lot of their stuff. But war does nothing. But they still spend the points. And then we have 4, which is 4. And they have 2 plus 1 on the off side there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give them 2 APs. So they're up to 3 now. But they don't do this last action. So then everything's going to slide up. And then it slides like this. So it does go in a little bit of an opposite order there. It flips around. So all of these go back in the cup. So that was interesting. Very interesting. If they get a culture action, we're screwed. They're going to make us lose 3 culture. 1, 2, 3. That's the part that hurts. And they're so far away from us, we can't do anything to even stop it. Okay. So now I understand why people get their butts kicked in this game. So let's see. We're looking. We are done with the particular turn. I'm at an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. And I will see you in just 2 seconds. So stay awesome. Hope you're enjoying the game. I'm actually quite into it. It's actually bedtime for me. It's a work night. And I'm going to do another video. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit of a sign that I'm into it. I still am not telling you I love this game, but the puzzle is still enticing. So thanks a lot. Stay awesome.